80 years on, we stand at another decisive moment in the history of our continent. The war in Ukraine will eventually come to a halt, but the way the war ends will shape our continent for generations to come. The future of the Ukrainians is at stake, but so is ours. A bad deal could encourage Russia to come back for more. It would be a recipe for more instability and insecurity. Instead, a just and lasting peace could usher in a new era of prosperity for Ukraine and help us build a new security architecture in Europe. A just and lasting peace that ensures Ukraine's sovereignty, respects the territorial integrity, and upholds the European aspirations. This is the crossroad we face, and Europe has a huge stake. So we must do our utmost to strengthen Ukraine's hand. Because we've all seen how Russia negotiates. They bomb, they bully, they bury promises beneath rubble. Putin wants to force Ukraine to accept the unacceptable. So the task we face is to help Ukraine stand strong, defy Putin's intimidation, and engage in peace talks based on its own conditions. And today I would like to focus on how we can do so and on three priorities for our action. First, support Ukraine's defense. Second, complete the phase-out of Russian fossil fuels. And third, accelerate Ukraine's accession path to our Union. Let me start with the military side, the so-called porcupine strategy. Russia is a permanent threat for the whole of Europe. So Ukraine must be strong enough to deter any future attack with deterrence through denial. Europe has already supported Ukraine with 50 billion euros in military aid, but now we must move from a logic of aid to a logic of integration of our defense industries. And this is the central element in our white paper Readiness 2030. We're encouraging our member states to place orders directly in Ukraine's defense industry, because this is the most effective and the most cost-efficient way to support Ukraine's military efforts. We're focusing in particular on defense tech and innovation. Throughout the war, Ukraine has used technology to shift the dynamics on the battlefield, even and especially when Russian forces were stronger in numbers. But we also know that Russia has also learned from the war. So our goal, together with Ukraine, is to be so strong that Ukraine is indigestible for any potential invader. And honourable members, as we support Ukraine, we must also continue to undermine Russia's ability to wage war. And this is my second point. Fossil fuel revenues remain a key source of funding for the Russian war machine. Let me give you two figures. At the beginning of the war, we spent 12 billion euros per month on Russian fossil fuels. 12 billion per month. Today we're down to 1.8 billion per month. So it's our core security interest to stop financing Putin's war chest. And for this we must stop spending billions on Russian energy imports. I know that there is indeed a clear majority in the European Parliament to favour to do this. Last November you voted to ban all imports on Russian fossil fuels. The Polish presidency is working hard on it. I also know that some are still saying that we should reopen the tap of Russian gas and oil. This would be a mistake of historic dimensions, and we would never let it happen. This has to be very clear too. Russia has proven time and again that it is not a reliable supplier. Putin has already cut gas flows to Europe in 2006, 2009, 2014, 2021 and throughout the war. How many times before they learned the lesson? Dependency on Russia is not only bad for our security, but also for our economy. Our energy prices cannot be dictated by a hostile neighbour. So good news is we have achieved incredible progress since the start of the war. That is the dimension. 12 billion per month at the beginning, now down to 1.8 billion. Thanks to energy savings, thanks to renewables, we have already cut our gas imports from Russia by 60 BCM per year. And thanks to our partners, we have diversified away from Russia. We have not forgotten in the energy crisis how the United States immediately stepped in with LNG, and how we received additional pipeline gas from Norway, and how countries that are further away, like Japan and South Korea, worked very closely with us on global markets to ensure our immediate energy security. And indeed, if you put it in percentage numbers, we went from 45% of our gas imports coming from Russia down to 13% now. We went from 1 in 5 barrels of oil from Russia down now to 1 in 50 barrels of oil, a 10-fold reduction. But we have to go on further. We also have to admit that we see since the beginning of last year that energy imports from Russia have slightly bounced back. So we need a final push to phase out Russian fossil fuels. And this is the goal of yesterday's roadmap that we presented. As part of it, we will propose a ban on new contracts with Russia. We will as well put a ban on imports on the spot market by the end of 2025, the latest. So ban the contracts, ban the spot market for Russian fossil fuels. We will work to ban all remaining imports from Russian gas, both pipeline and LNG, by no later than the end of 2027. And we will also tighten controls on Russia's shadow fleet. So to be very clear, the era of Russian fossil fuels in Europe is coming to an end. Honourable members, my last point is that we must accelerate Ukraine's path towards membership of our Union. It isn't just Ukraine's aspiration. Accession to the European Union can be the strongest security guarantee. And it was a central focus of my latest meeting with President Zelensky in Rome. We're working hard with Ukraine to open the first cluster of accession talks and to open all clusters in 2025. Ukraine joining our Union is the greatest guarantee of a just and lasting peace, because we know in our history, peace and European integration have always gone hand in hand. So let's bring Ukraine inside our Union. Let's walk the path of peace together. Slava Ukraini, long live Europe.